Welcome to part 2. Now, the major political mistake which Miguna made in Dallas is that at that meeting, he just went and completely told off Raila Odinga. He completely rubbished Raila Odinga. Now, in my view, I think Miguna thought this would be the excellent opportunity for NRM to completely cut cords with NASA, to completely cut cords with Raila Odinga, and to stand alone as a group strong enough on its own strength. What he did not realize is that the meeting he was actually in, the engagement he was presiding over, had actually a lower than expected turnout, precisely because of the Raila Odinga factor. The bottom line is that resistance at this stage did not make sense for a lot of people when Raila Odinga decided to take another course, of trying to get the objectives of Nazarites and the objectives of the vast majority of Kenyans fulfilled through another method of cooperation with the previous enemy. This was a fatal error because a lot of things went wrong at that particular meeting. And incidentally, one of the things that happened is that Miguna had come with portraits of Raila Odinga to sell during the event. Now, as to how he expected after such a tirade against Raila Odinga to be able to sell those portraits, I have no idea, But that's just one of the many things that went wrong. In fact, in the end, there was a very big tug of war, very bitter tug of war between Miguna Miguna and the organizers of the Dallas event, And it hit headlines right across the social media. We even discovered how much Miguna got from the event. He got $2,000, all expenses paid. Actually, not quite $2,000, but close to $2,000, all expenses paid. His flights there and back to Canada, accommodation, food, etc., etc. But Miguna was livid. He believed that actually what the event should have raised was 10 times that. What the event should have raised for him would have been in the region of $20,000. And indeed, that's what he demanded from the organizers. How he came upon that figure is very difficult to tell, Because if you look at the breakdown, the attendance, $20,000 was really a very, very wild and attainable dream. But let's stick to the politics, So, even those who attended the event, many of them regretted, because many of them had given Miguna the benefit of doubt. Many of them were sympathetic with Miguna's journey, right from the time he was arrested, deported, and how he had continued the fight, even when NASA had toned down back home, But many of them regretted because of how Miguna used the meeting to step on everybody else except himself. So that at the end of the day, the image that came out was that this was all about Miguna and nobody else. Now, in politics, you never, ever, ever want that to happen. Because for any political campaign to succeed, it needs to be owned by the people who are supporting you. There should never be a situation whereby anybody should ever feel that it is only about you, nothing to do with them. That would be fatal in any political project. In my view, what Miguna would have done in Dallas would have been to quickly reposition himself, after the very sudden events that had taken place in Kenya, only a few hours before he spoke. I believe there's still a place for NRM, Yes, there's an agreement between Raila and Uhuru, but I believe the NRM is now more important than ever, Why? 2 reasons. Number 1, even as NASA is able to achieve the objectives they went out for, with this new marriage with Jubilee, by the way, it's not joining Jubilee, it's a kind of cooperation, that should be very clear. Because the impression formed amongst a lot of people out there is that Raila has joined Jubilee. That is not the case. The NRM's position the NRM would have fitted in very quickly and very effectively was to be a watchdog and to make sure that as these objectives are being fulfilled, that the people are not getting shortchanged, that the people of Kenya are not getting a raw deal, that would have been the perfect place for them to position themselves. And their radical stance, their radical approach, their take no prisoners approach would still have worked as a watchdog. Number two, the other reason, very important reason, is that all indications are that this deal between Raila and Uhuru may not last. And the major forces fighting against it are not even within NASA or the opposition. They are within Jubilee. A case in point is the Ruto faction. Now, the huge danger here to this agreement is that the Ruto people are laser focused on 2022. They're talking about nothing else, which to me is another fatal political error. It's another fatal strategic error. And I'll illustrate this best from the days when I used to play sports. Now, there are very many times in games when we were very good at the game we played, and we proceeded right through the tournament. And then we'd reach the knockout phase. And let's say maybe in the quarters, we're already looking at our opponents in the finals. And we're already strategizing how we're going to deal with our opponents in the finals. But hey, we've not yet gotten through the quarters. Okay, we're facing a small team in the quarters. We are sure this team will not give us any problem. But all our focus is in the finals. All our focus is in the future where we have not yet reached. Now, it's very predictable what happened in most instances. We were knocked out in the quarters. Because you are so focused on the finals, you forget that you have to first of all go through the quarters, go through the semis, before reach the finals. So the best strategy is to think of each stage as it comes. So right now our focus should have been on the quarters. How we're going to make sure that we get through the quarters, we win. And then also at the same time make sure we limit our injuries, because we're looking to the future. Nothing wrong with looking to the future. So in the same way, if I was Ruto, my strategy would be to focus on the now and here. And then at the same time, to limit on my injuries, because I know that I'm going towards the finals. That would have been a strategy that would have made much more sense. But I guess I'm not as experienced in politics as Ruto is. And I guess DP Ruto knows what he's doing. But that is what is happening. That's what is on the ground. So definitely this major force from the Rift Valley is going to give this deal between Raila and Uhuru a very, very hard time. And then there's what I call the Wazee advisors, the people who've gotten us into this mess in the first place. Now I'm sure those people are sitting and re-evaluating the president's position. I'm sure they're whispering into his ears that the opposition now is no longer united. Therefore, we can pick off where we stopped and continue. And this time we'll have less resistance because these people are not united. And there's no way they're going to unite again against us. I can hear them whispering that to the president. In my view, those are the major dangers facing this historical agreement between Raila and Uhuru. And so it would have made a lot of sense for Miguna and the NRM, to change gear, to slow down their assault, and also to wait and see. Even as they try to realign themselves, reposition themselves, they should have slowed down the tempo. And not forever, just momentarily, until the dust settles. And then, I know within a few days, within a few weeks, the future will be a bit clearer. Then they would have relaunched, knowing very well that the deal will not last, or knowing very well where they're going to be when the deal collapses. But now NRM has lost that opportunity. Miguna has lost that opportunity by this major blunder he committed in Dallas. Like it or hate it, the facts on the ground, and this has been proven time and again, is that the NRM would not have gone very far by dismissing Raila. Even if they don't agree with his policies, that was not the right political play. This has become crystal clear now. And indeed, it must have become crystal clear to Miguna himself. Because in the Minnesota meeting, which I followed very closely, I noticed that he had toned down on his anti-Raila rhetoric. In fact, he did more than that. He started calling Raila a colleague in the struggle. He started saying that Raila and himself are both fighting on the same side. They're not on opposite side, etc., etc. A very far cry from what he was saying in Dallas. Because what he was saying in Dallas is that there's nothing left now in the struggle except me, Miguna Miguna, and the NRM, which I heard. That's really what he said in Dallas. Now, we all know Miguna's character. Miguna is a man of kifua. He's very confrontational, abrasive, aggressive. That's all very good, and those are good attributes for the struggle. However, politics is such a game that you don't get ahead by kifua. There are many times you need to stop, pause, before you proceed. Very many times. That's the nature of politics. And unfortunately, I think Miguna does not have that in him. And therefore, what I would strongly advise him to do is to look for a think tank, advisors, people to sit around him, and give him the right advice of what to do next, what kind of talks to give, what to emphasize, what to play down. It's very important because it's a game of politics and the rules have not changed. They're the same. They're the same since the beginning of time. And nobody can rewrite the rules of politics. Not even Miguna Miguna. That is the truth. We wait to see what will unfold on the 26th of March. Until next time, this is Kshs Kumekucha.